Hello, friends. I recently went for a personal yoga retreat to Swami Satchidananda's ashram in Yogaville, Virginia. Yogaville Ashram is located about 3 hours from DC, about an hour and a half from Richmond, which is the capital of Virginia, and the nearest big city is Charlottesville, Virginia, where you have University of Virginia. So the best way to go to the Yogaville Ashram would be to drive. If you are taking the plane or the train, the nearest airport would be in Charlottesville or Richmond. By train, you can get to Charlottesville, and then you will have to rent a car to drive there. Now, once you get to the ashram is located in a really large area. It's more than 500 acres. Most of the ashram is essentially forest covered. It's very peaceful and quiet, a very nice place to meditate. There are mainly two parts of the ashram. One is the academic and main center, where you have the office, the residences, the meditation room, the library, and the training center. And the other part is where the main temple is. The temple is located quite inside the property. You can either drive or walk to the temple. So once you get to the ashram, you will first generally go to the Sivanand Bhavan, where you will register. You will inform that you have reached, and then they will provide you your accommodation. Accommodations are of several types. You have sharing bedrooms where you share your room with one or two people. There are individual rooms. There are also apartment type facilities where you can live with your family. There are places where you can also set up an RV or a tent and so on. So they have all types of accommodation. The accommodation is generally divided for males and females in separate areas. I lived in a shared dorm facility, and I think that facility was very conveniently located to most of the places, like Shivanand Bhavan, where I got my meals, the meditation room, the yoga room, the training center, and so on. And they are pretty reasonably priced. I was there for 3 nights, and I paid $80 per night. For the first 2 nights, the third night was free. They had this offer, 1 night free for 2 nights. So I would definitely recommend using an offer like this. After you get your accommodation, the people at the front desk will tell you about the different programs that are available at the ashram. For somebody who was on a personal retreat like me, there are yoga classes, meditations, and scripture reading sessions available. The meditation room, the library, and all other facilities were also available to me. There were other programs also available on the campus. There was a week-long silent meditation program. There was a month-long program where you can learn about yoga and meditation. There were also longer programs for people who want to become yoga teachers. There were yoga training programs which were 2 months or even longer. Depending on what you need, it's all the way from 1 day long to several months long programs were available on the campus. I also met a few people who had lived on the ashram for several years. Depending on what kind of program you're looking for, all types of programs were available. Some of the programs might have restrictions, like if you want to go for a training, you might have to first go to the ashram for a week long visit or a month long visit before they will let you in to the yoga teacher training program. So you might have to satisfy certain criteria before getting selected for certain programs, but there are all types of programs available on the campus. And my impression was that all the programs were very good. The person checking you in on the very first day will tell you about the daily routine of the ashram and the various different activities that you can participate in. The ashram activity starts around 5 o'clock in the morning. 5 o'clock in the morning, there is a meditation in the Guru Bhavan. Guru Bhavan is a place where there's a big hall where one can go and meditate. So 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, and at noon, there are three guided meditation sessions which would be led by an expert. Otherwise, you can also go to the Guru Bhavan at other times to meditate. So the activities at the ashram start at 5 o'clock in the morning with the first meditation session. At 6 o'clock, there is the first yoga session. So if you want to do hatha yoga or different types of yoga exercises, that starts at 6 o'clock in the morning. So there were multiple yoga sessions available throughout the day. Generally, there were at least three yoga sessions every day at 6 o'clock in the morning, and then one or two sessions in the evening or afternoon. The yoga classes are about 90 minutes long. It has some parts of the hatha yoga exercises, the pranayams, and some amount of meditation and chanting. I had a very good impression of the yoga classes. I took yoga classes with at least five teachers. They were all very good qualified teachers. Even the people who were younger and maybe a part of the training program were very good teachers. And I would definitely recommend, and I would look forward to go back and do those yoga sessions. So after the yoga session, there is breakfast at around 8 o'clock. Breakfast generally goes for about an hour and a half. The breakfast most of the time was very simple. It was cereal, milk, some fruits. Every once in a while, there will be something else. After the breakfast, it was generally free time for people for their own meditation or work. This was also a time when you would do some volunteer work for the ashram. So, this is the time in the kitchen where the lunch is prepared from around 10 o'clock to noon. I volunteered in the kitchen one day, and I helped with cleaning the vegetables and fruits and preparing the lunch. Most of the fruits and vegetables which were served was grown right on the ashram. So ashram has, as I said, ashram is a huge property, about 500 acres, and some part of the ashram is used as a farmland where they grow different types of vegetables and fruits, beans, peas, radishes, collard greens, and so on. The vegetables were fresh and very high quality. I really enjoyed some of the vegetables which was cooked at the ashram. The time after breakfast to lunch can also be used for your own personal time. If you want to go for a hike in the ashram, this would be a very good time. On my first and the third day at the ashram, I went on hiking. There are several hiking trails in the ashram. I took two or three hiking trails. You can hike from the main area of the ashram to the temple area. The temple is located about like a mile from the ashram. You can either drive to the temple or you could also just hike to the temple. You can also walk along the road. So after breakfast, generally I would walk to the temple, or I would hike to highest peak on the ashram and also in this area which is called the Kailash Parvat. There are two temples on the ashram. The main temple is the Lotus Temple. When I went to the ashram, the temple was being renovated, and because of the renovation, meditation was allowed only once a week on Thursdays. If you're going to the ashram, I would suggest that you try to be there on a Thursday. The other temple on the campus is the Nataraj temple on the Kailash Parvat. One can hike to the Kailash Parvat, or you can also take the stairs. If you go to the main temple, which is the Lotus temple, there are stairs, about 500 stairs, that you can climb to go to the top of the Kailash Parvat at the Nataraj temple. I went to Kailash Parvat almost every day. Personally, I found this as the best place to sit and meditate on the campus. From the top of the mountain, you get a really scenic view of the Blue Ridge Mountains, and it's a very quiet, nice place. If the sun is out, it's a really good place to sit and meditate. I went there almost every day, and sometimes I meditated there for hours because there was no one, no noise to disturb. So I would highly recommend going to the Kailash Parbat. So generally, I would hike back from the temple or the Parbat back to the main area around 1 o'clock. So lunch is served at 1 o'clock. The first half an hour of the lunch, everybody is expected to be quiet, and generally there would be some recording of Swami Satchidanand which would be played, and people listen to this to the recordings, and then after about half an hour, 45 minutes of this silent meal, people generally start talking to each other. I really enjoyed the conversation with the people. I made friends with several people who were there. After lunch, the time is generally free. There are no activities scheduled after lunch till almost 4 o'clock in the afternoon. This is the time that people generally use to either rest or read or go hiking again to the nearby areas to look at the scenery, buy something. This would be a very good time. The activities again start in the afternoon with some type of yoga session. There was a yoga session almost every day. I attended at least couple of these yoga sessions. On one of the days, there was a restorative yoga session, which was a yoga session in which there were very simple poses, but the poses were done with a lot of assistance from different types of cushions and blankets. So in this yoga session, every pose was held for about 10 minutes. Uses blankets and pillows to assist the body parts and rest the body part, so you can hold poses for about 8 to 10 minutes. During this yoga session, while you're holding each of these poses for about 10 minutes, one could use this 10 minutes to meditate. So you can think of this yoga session as small meditative sessions, each about 8 to 10 minutes long. This session was also about an hour and a half long. We did about 6 to 8 poses total. I would highly recommend this yoga session. After the evening yoga session, there was the dinner. The dinner was around 6 or 7 o'clock. The dinner was about an hour long. After the dinner, you could also volunteer in the kitchen to clean up. Most of the people who were there on a yoga program, month long or longer yoga program, would be volunteering in the kitchen at this time. After the dinner, sometimes there would be scripture reading sessions where there'll be guided reading. So the time after the dinner is generally free. The activities at the center finish at 10 o'clock. The 10 o'clock, the lights are supposed to be out and you're supposed to go to sleep. What I liked about the ashram is a very nice place to meditate. It's a quite peaceful place, and the two temples are one of the best places to sit and meditate. The ashram is spread over 500 acres of land. There are forests everywhere, so it's a good place to just go hike and be in nature. This is something I really like. The ashram was also pretty well organized. The dorms, the meditation room, the yoga room, the training center, and the dining area all were very centrally located. So it was very easy to go from one place to the other. And that's something I really appreciated because that saved a lot of time and it was very convenient. Given I was there during the middle of the winter, it was a very convenient to go from one room to the other. I also liked talking to the people. The people were very friendly. The teachers were excellent. I learned quite a lot of things in terms of the yoga poses, breathing exercises, through my scripture reading, and so on. So that's something I also enjoyed at the ashram. There are several things that I would have wanted from the ashram. The first thing was discussions about the scripture, yoga, and so on. My main goal to go to the ashram was to learn more about meditation and how to meditate, concentrate better. There was only one or two scripture reading sessions throughout the week, and they were only for an hour. But I don't think I got the type of advice or discussion that I would have liked through these sessions. So that's something I would like the ashram to improve on. When I talked about this to the officers at the ashram, they told me that one of the reasons uh, for the lack of this activity was that because of COVID, most of the programs were temporarily not being offered. So maybe from this summer, some of the programs would come back, and possibly there would be more opportunities to learn about yoga and meditation in the future. The other thing I would like to improve would be access to different to the library. When I was there, the library was only open once a week for about a couple of hours. The reason was that there were not enough staff members to keep the library open. The final thing that I would like the ashram to improve is the food. The ashram provides three vegetarian meals every day. The food, although there were lots of fresh vegetables and fruits available, the food was generally quite bland, and sometimes you would be getting the same thing during lunch and dinner. When I signed up for the retreat, I was of the impression that the vegetarian food at the ashram would be Indian vegetarian food. But the food there was not up to the expectations, let's say. Would I go back to the ashram? I really enjoyed the peace and quiet at the ashram, especially the meditation at the top of the mountain. So I would like to go back to the ashram for that purpose. The yoga training was of very high quality. The downside for me was the food because I cannot survive on that food. Even Buddha could not reach enlightenment till he got good food. So who am I to get enlightenment eating tofu 3 times a day? So probably that's one of the main reasons I would not be going back. But I think if you can somehow get over the food issue, I think it's a very good place to go to learn yoga. I hope you go there. If you go, I would like to know what your experience was. If you have other questions, write a comment and I would be happy to answer. Thank you and see you in the next video.